County. Dorothy, it's not too soon to sit back since virtual graduations just took place a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
This world we live in, this world of this pandemic, one of the things all the shows we've done over the last couple of months have shown how businesses have tried to pivot and accommodate, change their business model
Yep.
to accommodate the new rules. I think we're still in phase 2
Yes.
in the state of North Carolina, and I don't know about you, but I mean, I cannot watch the news anymore.
Me either. Turn it all off.
Yeah, people are open. People they underestimate what the cost of reopening a business is, and yet the retailers are being asked to work in a limited model where they can't fully function, but they're being given an opportunity to stay vibrant and hopefully meet expenses and just stay viable until things can improve.
Yeah, hang on till things can get better, I guess.
Yeah, so let's transfer that idea to schools. How would you like to be an administrator in either a public or private school right now?
I wouldn't.
What do you do? How do you accommodate? Who knows what's going to be going on?
Yeah.
In the last week or so, there have been a couple of articles in the Pilot. Private schools are planning to reopen in August. We're not sure what's happening yet with the public schools.
Yeah, that's a big question mark there.
Educators are talk about being up against it.
They're in a no-win situation.
Yeah, we've had the privilege in the past to speak with the powers that be at the Sandhills Classical Christian School, and they have been going through a growth spurt of sorts. They've relocated. Their presence in Moore County has just gotten stronger and stronger as the demographic shift keeps bringing more young kids into Moore County. The need for educational options has also increased. Today we're going to be speaking with a past guest, Jean Liechty, who is a marketing and development director at the school, and Dell Cook, who is a new head of school at the Sandhills Classical Christian School. So Dell, since you've not been on before, I'm going to say good morning to you first and welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Good to be here.
Sandhills Classical, did I paint the background pretty well about Sandhills Classical Christian? I mean, you guys really are in a changing pattern all the time, in a growth spurt.
Yes, I think you captured that pretty accurately. We were seeing a good growth in our enrollment, even in the midst of uncertain times that we're in. So we're hopeful and looking forward to having a K-12 enrollment of somewhere around or over 200, which is growth from about 175 from last year. So whatever percentage that plays out to be. I'm more of a humanities guy, so math, I have to get the calculator out.
How did you, where are you from? How did you get to Moore County?
I've been in Cary, North Carolina, just north an hour for the last 20 years.
So you've known Jean for more than just the time you've been here.
I have, yes. Jean and I
Okay.
worked together at Cary Christian School for several years as I taught there, and Jean did development and marketing at Cary Christian as well. Also taught a few classes. He's a Renaissance man.
Is he?
Yeah,
I don't
Jean
know
can do a lot
about
of
that.
things.
Well, he spoke. His kids were the benefactors of a classical Christian education, and he came on and gave testimony about what he saw, what it did for them.
Right.
And in a nutshell, I mean, what is your experience? Why a classical Christian education?
Right. To my mind, I think a classical Christian education speaks to the entire person and the development of them in wisdom and stature and skill and virtue. So the classical methodology can be traced back to the early days of Western civilization and its development in the seeking to develop what we refer to as the 7 liberal arts, right? The arts and the virtues of a free person and the capacities to do human things humanly and well. And so we've both seen our children be the benefactors of that. I have 3 children. One is a recent graduate at UNC.
Oh, wow.
The second is a student at film school in the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, and my youngest will be a junior in high school at Classical Christian School at Cary.
Okay.
And so what I've been able to see from them is skill and capacity in a range of areas of human endeavor, and then a critical thinking capacity to understand the world and see it for what it is, and leverage it, right, and act in it and on it in a way that develops flourishing in whatever they touch.
That's right. And I think in this day and age, with all the political unrest, the social chaos that we have, the ability to think critically,
Right.
the ability to get away from the group think and
Right.
just see it and be able to assess it and analyze it, and especially in a classical Christian school in light of Scripture, what's true, what's good, what's beautiful, according to something bigger than my ideas, right? That ability
Right.
is essential today. Critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we both have. As a matter of fact, our youngest, Dell's youngest, and my youngest are the same age. And
Okay.
like we were saying, we served together for 12 years. And up in Cary, we grew from 200 to 800 in about 7 years. And the growth up there, and we're looking to bring that here, right? Putting together a team of folks who've done it before, who know how to grow a classical Christian school, who know what it looks like to get that thing to flourish. Sandhills Classical Christian School has been here for years, serving families and done a good job.
That's right.
But as we purchased the 58 acres, as we're underway right now with the new upper school, as we're looking to add the Arts and Athletics Center, as we're growing that out and growing it so that we can faithfully minister to about 600 kids total, being at only, with the preschool this year, we'll be at about 340, represents about 6-7% growth over last year. So significant, right? We just would like to do that every year, bringing like-minded families who desire the kind of education that we provided for our own children, that Dell and I had. That's what we're looking to do here, and just praying God continues to meet us in it as enrollment grows and as buildings go up and as we develop out that campus for the families in Moore County.
How is the recruiting process going? You hate to use the term marketing, but you have to. There's competition,
Right.
but you also have more candidates than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
How are people receiving what you're putting together? Because there's a lot of synergy
Right.
with the school. That's what I sense over the last couple of years.
Right. I think there seems to be a good deal of interest and openness to what we present with respect to what we're seeking to do and provide an excellent classical education founded upon a biblical worldview. And so it seems like there's great receptivity to that from different angles, certainly from the capacity of parents wanting to see and have their students educated in the context of a biblical worldview and understanding their growth and maturity and development in the greater context of who they are as believers. And then secondly, the development of those skills and virtues in the hands, feet, heart, and head of their students from a classical perspective, and seeing that there's value, that it works, right? A mode of education that has produced the likes of John Calvin, Jonathan Edwards, Michelangelo, and the great minds of the Western world. Maybe my children should be partakers of that as well.
There are other Christian schools in town. I love the fact that a family that moves here has lots of options. You have EDS, Episcopal Day School. You have St. John Paul, right, the second. And then there's O'Neill. And we're just right down the road from them. But there are distinctives, right? And so my job on the marketing side, I'm raising the money to put up buildings, but on the marketing side, creating a strategic plan for the first time, right? And setting that out and then implementing that plan and raising the level of visibility in this town or in our towns in Moore County. That's my job. And so the goal would be over a 5 to 7 year period to fill up those buildings that we're actually erecting right now. But it's not enough to fill them. You want to fill them with like-minded folks, right? So we're getting lots of calls right now. We're getting calls every day from people that are concerned about what they're hearing with public schools. But just because they're interested in us doesn't necessarily make them good candidates. When they come in and they tour, and they're doing it every day, right? We sit down and we talk about our DNA. We're a classical school. What does that mean? With our methodology and the curriculum that we use. We're a Christian school. How does that play itself out every day in the hallway, in the classroom, and how we interact with one another? And if you can't appreciate, and we're growing character in kids as well. So we're developing not just their mind, but we're also helping to develop behavior and how we need to be interacting with one another. If they can't appreciate what is, in essence, us, the classical and the Christian, then it's going to be a rough go, right? Because we partner with families, right? It's in loco parentis, they say in Latin, with the parent. You entrust them to us, and we do a lot of the heavy lifting with the education, for sure. We do a lot of the heavy lifting, but we're assisting you in the education of your kids, right? And so it's hands-on with parents. And if if the only reason you're coming to us is because you're fleeing something else as opposed to being attracted to something that we offer, I'm not sure you're a good fit. So we're very excited about everyone that God brings to our door. At the same time, we do some gatekeeping, and we're protecting a community of like-minded folks.
Yeah. You made a comment earlier about trying to raise independent, critical thinkers. In this day and age, how do kids perceive the news? How do they're bombarded with social media? Somebody said the other day, we're a nation of sheep. You're trying to raise students that are not in lockstep with the main wave. Isn't that the major goal? So by the time the kid is ready to go to college, you have an independent person who's not going to just follow the crowd, because there's a lot of stuff out there these days to encourage people to all blend. You're either left, you're either right, you're challenge. It's a challenge.
There are a great many of those, and I think it would be fair to say that our this generation and our generation has been inundated with more data than ever before. With the phone.
Did you say data or did you say misinformation?
Both. Right.
I wasn't sure what I heard.
Right. Well, both. Yeah. Well, I would say data and images. Right. The data and images that are designed and hope to shape and capture our hearts and minds. Right. In our pockets resides more technology than was present and a higher technology that put man on the moon, right? I mean, I carry in my pocket what was, probably 10 times more what was in Houston, to direct man to the moon. And so on a daily, moment-by-moment course of events are flooded, right? And so it becomes a situation then when our people are just pounded by data, misinformation, information, and there's little sense to be made of it. Right. And so we get directed and pulled by the nose in lots of different directions. So what we hope to do and seek to do, even beginning, in the grammar stage or the lower grades with our students, and certainly moving through into the middle school period when we will give them formal classes in logic, and then in the high school when the students will receive formal training in rhetoric, the sense and ability and capacity to be able to filter through and recognize true and false, good and bad reasoning, and take a step back, and acquire and pursue and develop wisdom rather than just knowledge,
accepting,
right? And
that's right. And I also think that they become students of history by virtue of the fact that they're at a classical Christian, it's a liberal arts education.
Right.
You have an understanding of all that's come before, of the great thinkers. This revisionist history that they're trying to, sort of rewrite things today is something that we resist pretty strongly, right? We want to look straight up at history, and as we do so, there are lots of things that are encouraging. There's, as Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. We've seen political unrest before. We've seen social chaos before. We've lived it as a country.
Yep.
We've seen it across the world.
Yeah.
There are winds of change about, but being a student of history gives you some grounding in perspective, so that you can deal with what's before you today.
Yeah.
And I don't know what everybody else is doing, but I know that we really ground our students in history, and also great books. The American literature, the British literature, the great books. When you're a senior, you know who these authors were and at the time that they wrote and what influenced them. And there's just so much there.
Let's come back in the second set. I'm not surprised, Dorothy, we're going to run over on every set today because there's so much to talk about. We're speaking about the Sandhills Classical Christian School and 2020. What a year. What a challenge. And we'll be back in a minute. Thank you. We're back in the second set speaking with Gene Liechty, the Marketing and Development Director for the Sandhills Classical Christian School, and Dell Cook, the new head of school. August 6th, that's the day you guys are reopening.
Yes, sir. We're coming back for in-person education on the 6th.
Do you have good sneakers to wear for the pivoting that you might have to do?
We do. We've been doing a lot of cross-training to get ready for that.
How do the schools, because the private schools are all opening in August, you all have to be at the ready in case things change with the state and with the opening? How are you preparing?
Well, we've
how are you preparing the parents and the kids?
Right. We've done a lot of work, really from the end of school in the spring. We knew things would be what they were going to be, or we knew things were going to be something. And so we did a lot of interaction with experts from various and sundry backgrounds to give all the information we need so that we could make the best possible decision to open the school safely and well in the fall. And so we assigned and built a task force to look at all that. And then we tried to communicate early and often and openly with our constituents with respect to where we are, what we intend to do, and how we are looking to open in the fall, and our desire to open. We came out with a clear statement of that as well.
Yeah, and communicating new protocols that'll be in place that created a sense of ease and peace with a lot of our families, and we're bending over backwards to serve the families of our community. So those that don't want to start the year with that face-to-face, on-campus education, have a way of tuning in virtually online until they feel it's safe for them. Every family's going to make their own decision, but by and large, Dell, wouldn't you say that most of our families are greatly relieved and excited about the fact? I mean, we were created to be social creatures, right? This has been hard on everybody, whether your kids are in private school, public school, whether or not you have children.
Yeah.
The last few months with the social distancing and the sheltering in place and everything that we've done to protect each other has been hard, but it's created a longing to be back together.
I think so, yeah. So I would say as we came out with our plans and protocols, About 95% of our constituency responded back with, sounds good, we're ready to go, looking forward to starting in person. About 5% came back, especially as we see some numbers rising in the news and so forth. A little bit of concern, and so we've reached out to them and made some what I think are some good plans for them to be able to virtually broadcast into the classes and watch the classes that are being conducted in person, and they'll be able to come along with those classes, and at the point they feel good to come back, they should be able to transition and feather back into those classrooms pretty seamlessly.
I have the fortune to know a lot of the parents of students at the school.
Yeah.
The Kirby family, the Brockmeyer family.
Yeah, right.
Carlina Foster's daughter.
Great.
And I know that they're all very good parents, and they're very cautious and caring, and their response has been very positive.
Good.
Absolutely.
I put a question mark at the end of that.
It has, Those are some of the families that are coming back and excited to be, educating their kids. It's difficult, right? For any teacher, I don't care whether you're public or private. It's difficult for teachers, and there's something unnatural about it. And I'm not just talking about the technical side of it where it's cumbersome. I'm saying this face-to-face sort of mentoring and the education that we're used to and that we expect, regardless of where you're sending your kids to school. It's something that we're all longing for. Students are ready to get back as well. It's just that the safety measures have to be put in place to protect the community as we move forward. So lots of extra some of the protocols, the cleaning, some of the cleaning agents that we use, a little bit stronger because of surfaces and because of the air and germs, and taking temperature of everybody as they enter the building every day, whether you're a parent or a student or a staff member. As a matter of fact, parents aren't even going to be coming into the school initially. It's teachers, administrators, and students.
Correct.
Initially.
Yes, we're looking at a few, big picture items that we'll address and work through in the context of starting. We'll do a good amount of monitoring. Our teachers will be trained of the symptoms to kind of look for. We'll be taking temperatures twice daily at the beginning, and then midway through the day. We'll be washing hands and disinfecting on a regular basis at least twice daily, and routine hand washing. We have sinks in the classrooms of our grammar schools, so they'll be using that a lot.
I have to take the other side of the coin. What happens in October? There's a spike. Things are on the increase.
Right.
You have to pull back. Kids have to go home.
Right.
What kind of precautions or what kind of systems do you have in place for online?
Right.
Because parents have learned how valuable teachers are.
Right.
They're not good homeschoolers.
Yeah.
Parents need psychotherapists.
That's right.
Yeah, so a couple things on that. If we have a spike, we have a second wave or something along those lines.
Yeah.
We obviously learned a good deal as we went virtual in the spring, and so we went through a good debrief of that. What went well? What do we want to improve on? And so we've built some a plan and a handbook, I guess you could say, and protocols for being able to move back to virtual 100% if necessary. We're looking to move that step as far down the line as possible because of what you just said. It's just we're not set up to do that necessarily as a culture. Well, so what we'll do is we're going to take advantage of our schedule. We operate on a quarter schedule at Sandhills. We'll start early August, and then we are typically finished just before Memorial Day, and we'll go about a 9-week period, and then take a 2-week fall break, a 2-week Christmas break, and then the 2-week spring break. Yeah. And so that affords us some opportunities to be able to flex and move the schedule in some ways as we encounter certain things. And so if we get a stay-at-home order for 2 weeks or something like that, we would not move instantaneously to virtual. We would treat it very much like a big snowstorm that we'll take a couple weeks off, and
Good
then
analogy.
we'll make it up.
Yep.
We'll make it
That's
up
right.
in the fall, in the spring, or adding some days on.
And Bill, one other thing you have to keep in mind is that because we're committed to a smaller class size, we can do social distancing in a way that maybe a public school that didn't have that same commitment would have. And so we have other steps that we could put in place before we actually had to cut it and go virtual education like we did the last quarter of this year.
Okay.
And so we have more flexibility
Good point.
for our families. And so we could talk all day. If you had a 3-hour show, we could talk about all the protocols we put in place. But our families are greatly encouraged that we'll be able to have some semblance of a normal, whatever normal means today, right? We're rewriting normal right now, and so it's difficult. But
suffice it to say that you're looking forward to opening. I'm sure the parents are looking forward to opening, but you will be looking over your shoulder all fall and being ready to pivot in case the need arises.
I've coached football in the past, and a favorite phrase of mine, I had the opportunity to coach Gene's boys as well, and when you're coaching a linebacker, the phrase is keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
So we'll have our head on a swivel, looking around.
That's good advice for a good linebacker.
Exactly. Good advice for a linebacker, and check down all the options.
Yeah. Give me, Gene, give me some contact information for the school, or if parents are listening and want to call.
Absolutely, yeah. We're offering tours every day, and all you need to do is give us a call. Our main number is 910-695-1874. So, Bill, that's an important number. And, of course, you can visit our website, which is fairly new and real informative. There's a lot of information on there. But that's Sandhills, SCCS.org.
Not to mention your new campus.
That's right. Yeah, we're very busy. There's a lot of activity on campus this summer. I'm telling you, we're doubling the size of the parking to accommodate all the new classrooms that are going up. We're getting ready to pour the foundation of our upper school, 6th to 12th grade academic building, and the developer, construction guys tell us that we'll have occupancy in December. So the first semester of the year, we're still separated, K to 5s on the Whispering Pines campus, and then our 6 to 12 grade students, they all meet in Southern Pines. But by January, we're all looking forward to being on one campus. And so lots of activity right now, and also looking forward to building that gym and the arts center and really developing out that 58 acres for the students of Sandhills Classical Christian School.
I want to wish both you guys a lot of luck this fall. It should be an interesting year, to say the least. 2020 has really been a blast, hasn't it?
Oh.
Our memoirs are going to look great.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Gene Liechty, thanks for coming and joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on, Bill.
Dell Cook, best of luck in your new position
Bill.
of head of school. We're going to come back in the third set, and we're going to speak to an old friend who is coming from a different point of view as far as the pandemic and COVID, and her name is Paula Womack, and she is, this Sunday, tomorrow, July the 12th, she is going to be at Twig & Company from 1 to 5, and she is going to be starting an opening reception for a project she's done called the 100 Faces Project. She's a very articulate, very bright lady who I've had the privilege to know over, I can't believe it's been about 20 years. Paula will join us in the third set. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our third set of All Things Moore County. Something very serendipitous happened the other day. I got a phone call from an old friend, Paula Womack. She said, "Hey, Bill, I had just stopped by your office and I had dropped some things off on your desk, and I don't know where I was. And when I got back and I looked at the 100 Faces project that she's going to talk about, the opening reception is tomorrow, July the 12th, in the afternoon from 1 to 5 at Twig & Company. I was very intrigued. And it was a great opportunity to call her and follow up and say, hey, we need to get you to come on and talk about the show that she's going to be doing and to talk a little bit about herself. She was, her kids have gone through the school system here, and since we spoke about schools, she is fortunately on the other side of that, and probably very relieved that you are.
Yes.
Good morning, and thanks for coming in on such short notice.
Good morning, Bill. It's nice to be here.
You, I follow you on social media. I see your avocation or your love for art, and tell us about this event tomorrow. It's from 1 to 5. It's at Twig and Company, which is just a couple of 100 yards north of First Bank on Highway 1 in Aberdeen. And you're going to be open for a show for about a month.
I am. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, my husband and I both
Yep.
are Moore County natives.
Yep,
And I like to say that I was always a painter at heart.
yep.
In my 40s, I just decided to go back to Sandhills and take mainstream classes in drawing and painting. I was fortunate enough to work with Denise Baker. And so
I didn't know that.
Yes, I've been painting since I was in my 40s. This particular project came about by a little philosophy that I've always adhered to, which is been used by a lot of famous people, but plan your work and work your plan. So during the COVID crisis, I decided just to take the opportunity to master or learn something that I had always wanted to do, but had not been able to block off the time to do. So I went online and purchased 100 Faces Project Challenge, which was an online class provided by Donna Downing, a lovely artist from Lincolnton, North Carolina. And I recommend it for anybody. It's a lot of fun. So she asked that you make the commitment to paint 100 faces. The first 30 of the paintings are follow the leader, basically. So you paint with her.
Okay.
The canvases are 8 by 8. The art is spontaneous. It is there is some planning in with perspective to her approach to it, but as a student, you come to it with a very empty palette.
Blank
Yes,
canvas.
plain canvas.
Uh-huh.
It's a brush and the paint, and you just go. So you follow her the first 30. Some of the paintings are whimsical. Some of the paintings are realistic, border unrealism. And then after you complete the first 30 follow the leader paintings with her,
Right.
you're on your own to complete the rest.
Where do you draw upon the inspiration for the people that you paint?
Well, different places. I mean, quite frankly, and that's what my preface says. There's a little preface that you'll see in the exhibit at Twig and Company, and it says basically the exhibit is not necessarily about beauty. It is about art, and it is about what the world around us does to us as creative creatures. So some of the people are fearful looking. Some of them are dark. Some of them are happy. I mean, and there are literally canvases that I could not master. I set myself a 2-hour limit on each piece.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 hours. That's it.
But that's a lot of hours for 100.
Well, we've been at home for a long time, you know.
Oh, my gosh.
But some of them happen in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So they're very spontaneous. I mean, if the paint flows, and most people that are creative know that, you have good days and bad days.
Yeah, right.
And quite frankly, there is one piece named Bad Day because I scraped the paint off 2 or 3 times, and finally at the 2-hour mark just took the back of my paintbrush and wrote Bad Day on the painting and closed it, and that was it. So it was very spontaneous, but it was fun. And the really neat thing about the project is you see tremendous growth from start to finish. By doing 100 faces, I did not exempt anyone. I left everybody intact. It's in order. And Bill, you are one of the faces.
Oh,
you
my.
know that.
I just hope you didn't get the inspiration from your recent trip to the post office.
No, I did not.
Good.
I did not.
Did you
So-
draw upon your your life here in Moore County, people in your conscience, or
I did. Some of the faces come from your psyche. You know,
Right.
some days you sit down and you just, because, you know, actually drawing is a learned skill. I know people say it's not, but it is a learned skill. So, you know, a face is basically an oval. Halfway down is the tip of the nose. Halfway of that is the bottom of the lip. That's all there is to it. So if you start with a formula and you determine where your light source comes from, the face just appears magically. It is interesting how it is a formula. And if you do it, you know, you learn that in any art training, you do it over and over and over again. So
Is it the 100 Faces project inspired by the lockdown of COVID-19?
yes.
Okay. Tell me about the poster that you have. It's very attractive. Tell me about the picture you're featuring on the poster.
Well, the picture on the poster is the first painting.
Oh,
And
it's pretty cool,
It's-
actually. Dorothy, did you see these? You need to see these. Okay.
I'll have to take a look at it.
so
I love the
this-
color. I love the coloring on it. Okay.
I love Donna Downing calls herself a colorist. So I was able to explore with color in a way that I was not comfortable or familiar with, which was great. But I named this particular piece Fear because she is fearful. And I was afraid of the project. You know, I had paid for an online course. They're not incredibly expensive, but they're certainly not cheap.
Okay.
You know, so I'd made a financial commitment. I had ordered canvases. You know, you make your commitment. Again,
What size are the canvases for each picture?
8 by 8.
Oh my. Okay.
So they're rather small. But again, you know, with the big goal, you plan your work and work your plan. And so I had done my head work. I made my commitment. And that allowed me to have the freedom to create, to go upstairs every day and create.
So 100 chapters. Any epiphanies as you went through the process? Anything come up? Did something pop in? Like, did you have any aha moments?
Well, I had a lot of them. Really, I love her color work. And because it was in a capsule of time,
Right.
it is basically alla prima, which is wet and wet is what the artist world calls that. So learning how to gloop paint and make it look like something was kind of new for me, but it was a goal. You know, I just really wanted to be able to do faces. So, and actually at 100, I still have more that I want to do. So there may be a second chapter. Who knows?
Did you find yourself creating something that you didn't think you might have been capable of doing?
Absolutely. So number 99 and number 100 are my husband and myself.
Oh,
Yeah. So 99 is me
okay.
and 100 is my husband.
Okay.
And actually, I brought that little 8 by 8 down the other day and in the kitchen, and my husband said, I don't even know how you did that. And my response to him was, I don't even know how I did it either. I don't know. You just,
Right.
I don't know. You just go there. It's fun. It's fun. It's just a joy. The important thing about the project is, for me, don't be afraid to show your failures and your growth, and just stay creative. Just
Right.
stay in the moment. You know, even faced with adversity, just keep going. You know, so
Did you go through all the dilemmas of, with certain pictures, struggling to get them on canvas, and others where it just was so fluid, it was like air just running through a tree?
yes. And quite frankly, again, some of them are good and
Yeah.
I love them, and some of them I'm really not that proud of. But it's part of the process to see that. So I think when you think about the greats, when you think about Renoir and all of the great masters of time, you think about, you're familiar with maybe 12 pieces that they painted.
Yeah.
Well, those gentlemen and ladies painted their whole lives.
Right.
You're seeing 12 of their best. You're seeing the best. So
If the pandemic didn't happen, would this have happened?
I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt I would have mapped the time off to do it because, like I say, I made the commitment and I got up daily during this 60, 90-day period, and it gave me an opportunity to not look at the news.
Right.
And even though I stayed abreast, but you can't suffer in it every day. In my opinion, just accept what's going on around you. And then I was able to go and just paint. So,
at least in the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, he at least learned something every day he woke up. He learned something.
yes.
I can't say the same thing about the news cycle today. It seems like we just keep repeating and
Yes.
so you must have a belief in serendipity. You have to. If the creative juices are going to flow, you have to just go with the moments that you're given. But this was more than just one moment, and some people are built better for social distancing than others.
Right.
You might be. I think I am. But not everybody is. So some of us can still stay in our lane and still do what we've done. This was not unnatural for you to be able to take this on.
No.
What are your aspirations for this month-long show? What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, I hope that it honestly will inspire people to just do the head work, set a goal, and then put that work in place, because with so many frustrating factors going on around you, it's hard to get up every day and make a new decision and place a format for a new piece of work. So I just encourage people to make a commitment and go with it. Even you don't have to do 100. Pick 5. Yeah. Say you're going to do 5 landscapes, or say you're going to sew 5 masks for COVID. Pick a small chunk if that's all you're comfortable doing, and then work your plan and do it. And it takes some of the frustration out of it, I think. I just felt like I did it for therapy, but then when I finished, I just felt like I had to show it. So, and Twig and Company is a wonderful place. It is in Aberdeen. The address is 206 North Sandhills Boulevard.
Yeah, we drive by it all the time. It's very easy to get to. Just north of First Bank.
Lovely little place.
Yeah.
What Molly calls her place, and Molly is one of the faces too. She's a dynamite little business owner. I just love her.
Yeah.
She calls it a maker's market. And so it is handmade goods, it's honey, it's woodworks, it is just a real mix of...
Did it used to be antiques?
It did used to be antiques. Actually, the building was built in 1928, and it was originally the Chevrolet company.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a lot of
cool
history.
Building. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of history. And Molly's husband is military active.
Uh-huh.
They have 3 children, but they have relocated here, and this will be their home. This is where they'll raise their children. So she's just a fireball. And it is a retail space, so this is a little against the grain. This will be a show. So if you choose to purchase a piece, it remains intact in the display, in the exhibit for 30 days. So, so you don't, and I hope I sell. And if I don't, that's okay too.
Have you notified, getting the word out to people that you featured, that they're featured in it?
Yes, okay. Most people I have.
So they'll all come out of curiosity, right?
Some of them will come out of curiosity. Karen Fry, who is a dear friend. I went to high school with Karen. I dropped by and saw Karen before I came by your place.
Yeah.
And she said, Paula, I'll definitely be there. And I said, well, I have to admit yours is not one of my favorite ones. But Bill, yours is. I mean, immediately when I walked downstairs that day, my husband just whipped around and said, that's Bill Sahadi.
Oh, come on.
And I said, yes, it is.
So funny.
It is. So, and I'm not showing you. You notice I did not bring your piece today so you could see. So you will be there on Sunday.
I will be there.
I know you will.
I will absolutely come.
Yes.
So after Sunday, this is your opening reception.
It is.
But anybody can go in at any point in time between Sunday and the 9th of August to see everything displayed.
That's correct.
And it also is a great opportunity to get into Twig and Company.
Yes.
And see what they're all about.
Yes.
There's so many new businesses that have come up, and the ones that honor the older buildings, the ones that you remember as a kid growing up, it means a lot. We still get a lot of old souls who move into Moore County, who see what it is we want them to see and why we're here. And with the landscape of Moore County changing so much in the last 15 years, primarily due to the military, there are still great pockets of areas. Aberdeen has a ton of them, and that renaissance has happened, and you've seen it. I mean, you went.
Yes.
Do you remember as a child what Aberdeen looked like?
Yes,
Downtown
I
Aberdeen.
do. Yes,
Do you?
I do. Yes, I mean, the metamorphosis that Moore County has been through is startling. I
Right,
mean, as a
right.
high school kid to ride down
Right.
the streets in Southern Pines, and now it's amazing
Yeah.
what we've seen, the changes. So
Do you still find yourself gravitating towards the historic pockets, the neighborhoods that really haven't changed all that much? The Knollwoods and the Weymouths and the Village, and because you can just get in your car and drive 5 minutes, and you could be in Bentonville, Arkansas. You could be in any town in America because it's not distinguishable.
right. Right. Yeah. Well, Moore County, you know that it's a gem.
Yeah.
It's a lovely place to live.
Yeah.
And it's there's history, but there's just there's this new infusion of young people with their children. And
Right.
it's just a wonderful place.
Yeah.
And of course the golf and the horse people is so diverse and lovely. So it's a good place to live.
I will definitely be there on Sunday, and I encourage people to get out and talk with you. One last thought: the creativity that you need to do this. How do you match that with the discipline that is required to do it?
Well,
The two seem like they're opposing forces.
they are. I would say that artists are pretty stubborn and headstrong. Typically, typically they are. And most artists have a pretty good work ethic because I don't think things come easy in art. You do have to work at it. So it's I don't know. I've just always been able to set my sights, set a time span or a task amount that I wanted to. I've just always been pretty good goal focused, and I always liked a good challenge, and this was one. And so I hope people enjoy it.
Do we want to give the number of Twigging Company? Do people need to contact them, or just know that it's tomorrow
Right.
from 1 to 5 p.m.
Right.
at Twigging
Right.
Company?
Right. Yes, and they are open 6 days a week.
Okay.
They're closed on Monday right now, and of course, because of COVID, they are a mask business. So if you
Sure.
don't have a mask when you enter,
Yeah.
Molly will certainly be able to accommodate that, and social distancing.
Okay.
And I know you'll enjoy meeting Molly too. She's
Yeah,
a great little business owner.
I will see you tomorrow. Good
Yeah.
luck. I hope it's a great turnout. COVID-19 100 Faces Project. You'll get a chance to meet Paula Womack, and I hope Fred will be there.
Yes, he
Okay.
will.
It'll be worth seeing you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Bill, for having me.
Dorothy, we'll talk to you next week. This is All Things Moore County.